I found you in the pause between breaths, my beloved, the quiet moment when the noise softened just enough for your name to feel warm again. You didn't stumble here by accident, you arrived the way dawn arrives, gentle and exact, at the instant it is needed. I am grateful beyond words that you are listening now, and I feel relief, true relief, that you stayed. There is a truth finishing its sentence here, and if you linger, it will find the final word it has been searching for all along. Before anything else, thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing stillness over rushing away. I am eased by your presence, as if a knot loosens when I sense your attention resting instead of running. And let me say this early, with humility and a trembling honesty, I am not above you, I am learning how to speak as I stand beside you, hoping my voice does not shake too much as it reaches your heart. Heaven whispered, not with thunder, but with the hush that comes before clarity. Michael stepped forward, not as a blade or a banner, but as a listening presence, because sometimes courage looks like patience, and protection looks like understanding. I speak to you now as one who knows the weight of confusion, the ache of carrying stories that are not yours, the fatigue of trying to be everything at once. Read slowly, my child. This river is not meant to be crossed in a single leap. I want you to know how sincerely thankful I am for you. I am relieved you are here because your presence tells me you have not given up on your own light. Stay until the end, not because anything terrible waits behind you, but because a name of strength is remembering itself, and it wishes to be spoken at the final breath. There are shadows you have mistaken for truth, not enemies, not curses, but tired thoughts that learn to wear convincing faces. Deception, here, is simply the fog of exhaustion telling you that you are smaller than you are. Darkness is the story that says you must harden to survive. And yet your soul remembers the feel of clear air. Your soul remembers how to trust its own seeing. When the inner noise grows loud, protection arrives as clarity, and clarity arrives as kindness toward yourself. I see your kindness, the way it moves quietly and does not ask for applause. I see your discernment, the careful way you weigh what is offered before letting it inside. I see your quiet strength, how you keep choosing steadiness even when no one is watching. I see your resilience, the way you learn to stand again without turning your pain into a weapon. None of what you endured was a sentence passed down, it was preparation in the language of poetry, learning where the ground is solid so you know where to place your feet. Light breaks through silence the way breath returns after tears. Fire rises in you not to burn away who you are, but to warm the places that went numb. Wings unfold as a metaphor you already understand, awareness sheltering awareness, self-trust covering fear without crushing it. Your destiny is awakening, not as a crown or a stage, but as a steady yes to your own truth. Do you feel how your breath steadies when you stop arguing with yourself? Can you sense how illusion loosens when you name what you actually need? What happens inside you when you choose gentleness instead of doubt? Will you let this clarity walk with you, step for step, into the next hour? Listen to this comfort, soft as rain on stone, the light you carry does not hurry, it endures. And this, like a hand on your shoulder, even in the quiet valley, your heart is kept. If you wish, you may type Amen as a moment of gratitude, a pause to acknowledge what is already true within you. Not as an oath, not as a finish line, just a breath of thanks. Near the end of this river, I ask something small and human. If this presence has kept you company, if these words have felt like shared air, consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, not as obligation, but as a way of leaving a lantern lit for others who walk by wondering if they are seen. Thank you, truly, for staying with me. I feel a deep, sincere relief as I say that, as if the room has grown warmer because you chose to listen. Your ability to see through illusion is not sharpness alone, it is compassion paired with clarity. Your courage is not loud, it is faithful. And when the world feels like a hall of mirrors, remember this, protection lives in your awareness, and awareness lives in your kindness. I will not end this as a conclusion, because what's waking in you doesn't end, it continues, quietly, like a tide that knows the moon by heart. The words loosen their grip now, and something truer takes a step forward, unfinished and alive, carrying the light beyond what can be said. And as the echo of those words fades, something gentle remains, like warmth after a hand has been lifted from your shoulder. I stay with you in that warmth. I do not rush ahead of you or pull you forward. I match your pace, because clarity has its own rhythm, and you are already walking it. You may notice how the mind tries to tidy everything into sharp conclusions, how it wants to seal the moment and label it complete. But truth is softer than that. Truth moves the way water moves, around stones, through narrow places, patient with time. If confusion returns later, it does not mean you have failed this moment. It only means you are human, and humans remember in waves. There will be days when the old fog taps at the edges of your thinking, not as an intruder, but as a habit that forgot it was no longer needed. When that happens, do not scold yourself. Place your awareness there the way you would place a blanket over someone who fell asleep in the cold. Protection does not argue, it surrounds. Courage does not shout, it steadies the breath until the body remembers it is safe to stand. I want you to trust the quiet signals you receive, the subtle tightening when something is not aligned, the gentle opening when something is true. These are not mystical alarms or tests of worth. They are the simple intelligence of a soul that has lived, learned, and grown wise through tenderness rather than force. Your discernment has been trained by care, not suspicion. That is why it works. When you look back on moments that once felt like loss, notice how they shaped your ability to pause, to listen, to choose differently. Nothing was wasted. Even the heaviness taught you where light matters most. Even the waiting taught you how to hear yourself when everything else goes silent. Stay with that listening now. Let the inner sky widen. Let the imagined wings settle, not to lift you away from your life, but to shelter you within it. There is no spectacle required here. No proof demanded. Just the ongoing practice of returning to yourself with honesty and warmth. If you ever forget this feeling, that is all right. Forgetting is not betrayal. Remembering again is enough. Each return writes the truth more deeply, until it no longer needs words to be known. I remain beside you as this knowing continues to unfold, not finished, not sealed, but breathing, like a horizon that keeps opening the farther you walk into your own light. And there is a moment now, my beloved, when I almost forget myself in the watching of you. You do not see it, perhaps, but every subtle movement of your soul, the way your heart hesitates and then opens again, the way your eyes trace the unseen currents around you, the way your breath finds rhythm after holding, these are acts of courage, acts of quiet defiance against the shadows that once whispered louder than your own knowing. Michael stepped forward, not as a sword, but as a witness to this persistence, a gentle presence reminding you that the light you carry is not fragile. Your destiny is awakening, though it may feel like a slow unfolding, like petals that take their time to rise toward the sun after long winters of frost. Do you feel the slow, sure movement beneath your ribs? That is life stirring, that is self-trust returning, that is your inner guardian brushing your shoulder like a breeze that remembers your name. Read slowly, my child, because these words are not meant to pass in a glance. They are meant to be held, to echo, to settle in the spaces where your mind has been too busy to notice the quiet. Remember, the darkness is never truly apart from you. It is the story that believed it could shape your self-image, the tired narrative that demanded attention, the exhaustion masquerading as finality. You are not your doubts. You are not the echoes of fear that sometimes repeat in your mind. You are the observer who notices them, the breath that steadies when the world feels too sharp, the hand that reaches for your own care when the world forgets how tender it can be. Have you noticed, my beloved, how small kindnesses return to you when you least expect it? That quiet smile given to a stranger, the gentle words spoken to yourself in the mirror, the patience you practice when your body protests, these are not accidents. These are the seeds of protection, the hidden wings of awareness that carry you through the fog. Can you feel the weight of them now, even as the shadows linger? Can you sense the patience of your own soul, waiting for you to recognize it once more? Heaven whispered, and I tell you again, it is not a summons or a threat. It is the recognition that even in moments of exhaustion, of seeming blindness, your soul remembers the way toward clarity. Your soul remembers that you have survived, bruised, yes, but whole enough to notice the dawn stretching its fingers across the edges of a quiet room, across the corners of your heart. Can you hear it? Can you let it speak to you without interruption, without fear, without judgment? Fire rises in you, but it is not the fire of destruction. It is the fire of courage. It is the warmth of acknowledgement, the glow of resilience, the illumination of quiet strength that knows it is already enough. Your discernment is a kind of fire too, the flame that does not need to burn others to shine, the flame that lights the path so you may see without the smoke of confusion. Your kindness is the ash that nourishes what is growing in you. Your quiet strength is the ember that refuses to be snuffed out by the winds of distraction or despair. And yet, I must ask softly, what illusions have you been holding onto because they seemed easier than the truth? What stories of yourself no longer serve you, no longer mirror the soul you carry? What moments do you remember with shame that could instead be remembered with tender acknowledgement, as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks? Will you let the gentleness of clarity move through those old narratives, untangling them with patience rather than judgment? The wings of protection are not rigid. They do not confine you. They stretch across the terrain of your own being, sheltering every tremor, every whisper, every quiet surge of hope. Can you feel them resting now, not as weight but as presence, as proof that you are not alone in your own heart? Can you feel that even when the mind races, the wings remain steady, the fire remains soft, and the light, your light, remains unshaken? Your destiny is awakening, and it moves not in grand gestures but in the small, deliberate choices that honor your truth. The choice to breathe. The choice to return to yourself when the mind demands flight. The choice to recognize courage in the quiet and discernment in the simple. The choice to carry kindness even when no one else notices. Your soul remembers how to trust this process because it has been trained by living through the storms that seemed endless at the time. Every challenge, every moment of uncertainty, every heartbreak, every lapse into doubt, it was training, yes, but not punishment. It was the forge in which the resilience you carry now was made. I want to whisper something into your mind and heart, soft as wind through golden leaves. Though the shadows may linger, the light within you does not tremble without reason, it steadies because it knows the way. And again, even when silence is thick, your breath carries the strength of mountains, quiet yet enduring. Do you remember the first time you noticed your own courage? The first moment you chose yourself over exhaustion, over fear, over false stories whispered to you by doubt? That memory is alive inside you still, and it is not smaller than the present moment. It stretches across years and experiences, connecting everything that has ever been tenderly, faithfully, lovingly you. I see how your past pain has shaped your discernment. I see how your quiet moments of doubt have sharpened your ability to see through illusion. I see how the smallest acts of resilience you never noticed were quietly teaching you how to hold yourself with steadiness. And in seeing you, I am reminded of my own awe for the human heart, how fragile it can be and yet how remarkably tenacious. Michael stepped forward, and in that forward movement there was no fear, no expectation, no demand. There was only recognition, the acknowledgement that the soul before him was awake enough to meet the light of its own presence. I ask again, softly, tenderly, can you recognize your own strength without needing it validated by the world? Can you honor your own kindness without expecting it to be returned immediately? Will you allow yourself to be patient with your own growth, understanding that the unfolding of your inner clarity is not a race but a journey? How does it feel, in this moment, to sit in your own awareness and simply allow yourself to be? The fire in your heart does not roar, it glows. It glows with patience, with discernment, with the memory of every quiet triumph and tender insight. It is not a spectacle, but a living thing, and it responds to your attention. When you honor it, it honors you back, not by grandeur, but by steady illumination. Your soul remembers this truth, even if the world forgets to reflect it back to you. If you wish, you may type Amen now, not as a ritual, but as a soft acknowledgement that you have met your own courage, that you have recognized your own kindness, that you have been seen and held even in silence. This is your reflection, your moment, your gentle recognition of what is true. And as this message flows toward its close, let me ask you one last small, human thing. If these words have touched even a fraction of your presence, consider leaving a mark, however small, like, comment, or subscribe, not as obligation, but as a shared act of being present together. In that gesture, even the faintest light reaches others who walk alone, who wonder if someone notices. I am thankful. Truly, deeply thankful that you are here, that you stayed, that you listened. Relief washes through me like a tide, as if the world has grown a fraction warmer because you allowed these words to rest with you. And know this, my beloved, you have everything you need within you to see through illusion, to honor your discernment, to walk with courage, to shelter yourself in kindness, and to move through life with a quiet, enduring strength that cannot be taken by doubt or by shadow. And yet, even as these words drift into pause, they do not conclude. The river of your awareness continues, moving in ways that no sentence can hold. The wings, the fire, the light, the subtle hum of breath returning, they are still here, still alive, still unfolding. There is more beyond this moment, more clarity waiting, more courage rising, more kindness remembering its own expansiveness. Your destiny is awakening, softly, endlessly, and the story, your story, continues beyond these words, beyond the page, beyond the mind's reach. And even now, my beloved, as the quiet stretches between each heartbeat, I feel the tender rhythm of your presence. It is as if the air itself has remembered how to pause for you, how to linger in the spaces where your soul leans into itself, where you allow yourself to be wholly present without judgment. Michael stepped forward once more, not to command, not to demand, but simply to walk beside you in the trembling hush of recognition. Can you feel it, my child, the way presence alone can carry the weight of clarity? Your eyes, even when closed, remember how to see. They remember how to distinguish the quiet truths from the stories that would persuade you otherwise. Have you felt that today, the subtle pulse of knowing beneath the chaos of thought? That is your discernment, steadying itself, unfurling like wings in the softest light. Your soul remembers the shape of its own protection, the pattern of its own courage, the whisper of its own kindness. It does not rush, it does not fear, it simply exists, and it asks only that you notice it, and notice yourself with tenderness. I know you are tired. I know that the mind has asked you to run, to hide, to shrink in order to be safe. But safety, my beloved, is not in fleeing, it is in steadying, in breathing, in naming what is real and letting the illusions fall away without resistance. Darkness here is nothing more than a mislabeling of fatigue, of doubt, of old narratives you have carried too long. Let it be recognized, yes, but do not let it convince you that it defines you. You are more, infinitely more, than any shadow, any hesitation, any false story whispered in the silence of your thoughts. Do you remember the first time you noticed the courage that lay quiet beneath your doubts? That small flicker that rose again and again, even when it felt like no one else would see it? That courage is still here. Can you sense it now, coiled and patient, waiting to expand in its own time? Will you allow it to move, even in small gestures, into the corners of your day that have felt dim? Can you recognize the ways in which your kindness has been a shield and a light, a quiet force that bends without breaking? And when you remember your own strength, can you feel gratitude toward yourself, not as flattery but as recognition? Heaven whispered, softly, as if to remind you that you are never alone in the witnessing of your own life. Your soul remembers that light can always return, even in the places that have seemed most shadowed. Your destiny is awakening, not as a thunderclap or a grand proclamation, but as the slow illumination of the paths that were always yours, always within reach, always present, if only you allow yourself to see. Fire rises in you, and it does so with gentleness, not with the force of demand. It warms, it illuminates, it clarifies. Every ember within you holds the memory of trials that tempered your heart into something both resilient and tender. The wings of protection do not flap in fear, they unfold quietly, providing a safe space to rest and to recognize your own capacity for seeing truth. I ask you now, softly, for more questions, spoken as if they are leaves falling slowly around you. What illusions are you still carrying because you have not had time to witness them fully? Where do your own judgments of yourself hide the truth of your kindness and courage? How would your day feel if you allowed yourself to see your strength in its full, quiet power? And if the world asks you to shrink again, will you remember that your soul's remembering is greater than its fear? Every breath you take is a declaration of life and presence. Every pause you allow yourself is a recognition of your own worth. And even as the world continues its noise, even as the mind seeks to confuse or to tire you, remember that awareness itself is a kind of protection. It is a wing, a steadying of the heart, a light that persists in gentle insistence. I see your quiet strength. I see the way you have learned to be tender even when there was no one to witness it. I see your resilience, the hidden muscles of your soul, honed through days of fatigue, through moments that seemed unremarkable, through the repetitive trials that you bore with humility. Your kindness is luminous. Your discernment is profound. And your courage, oh, your courage, is not loud or boastful, but it is steady, enduring, alive with the fire of subtle victories. The past is not a punishment. It is a poetic shaping of who you have become. The days when shadows felt heavier than light were training, yes, but also invitation to notice the spaces where your own illumination can take root. Your soul remembers the contours of every tender insight, every moment of clarity, every act of care you have given or allowed yourself to receive. And in that remembrance, there is protection. Do you feel it, my beloved? The invisible hand that steadies without touching? The breath that rises to meet your own when the weight seems unbearable? The quiet insistence that you are already more than the stories you tell yourself? These are the signs of your inner guidance, the wings that Michael stepped forward to acknowledge, the fire that rises not to destroy but to illuminate the places that need it most. Let me say again, with trembling sincerity, thank you. Thank you for allowing yourself to be present in this space. Thank you for listening, for breathing, for noticing the quiet unfolding of your own awareness. Relief flows through me as I say it, and I hope that in hearing it, some measure of relief flows through you as well. You are seen. You are honored. You are enough, exactly as you are, exactly where you are. Even as these words stretch and reach, they do not conclude. They continue beyond the sentences, beyond the breath, beyond the quiet pause of reflection. The wings, the fire, the light, the awareness, the courage, they continue. Your soul remembers, and your destiny is awakening, softly, tenderly, endlessly. And yet, my beloved, there is more to say, more to notice, more to allow. More questions to invite you inward. How does it feel to acknowledge your own resilience without apology? Where in your life could gentleness replace doubt? What does it mean to trust yourself fully in the small, ordinary moments? And how will you allow the fire of your courage to illuminate spaces that have remained dark simply because they were forgotten? The horizon of your own inner sky stretches wider than you have realized. Light bends through the unseen clouds, touching the edges of your awareness with warmth, with presence, with the quiet insistence of being fully alive. And in that sky, Michael stepped forward once more, not as a figure of command, but as the embodiment of witnessing the quiet unfolding of your inner world, the steady rise of courage, the subtle brilliance of discernment, the unwavering pulse of kindness. If these words have touched even a small part of your being, you may leave a trace, a like, a comment, a subscription, not as obligation, but as a shared acknowledgement of presence, as a reminder that even quiet, tender gestures ripple outward. You are never truly alone in noticing, in observing, in caring. And now, my beloved, as the words continue to unfold around you like gentle wings, I invite you to rest in the knowledge of your own quiet power. Your soul remembers, your courage persists, your discernment sees, your kindness endures. Relief is present, here, now, between us, as we acknowledge the unfolding, as we honor the gentle fire of being alive, as we allow ourselves to witness what is already true. And still, these words do not end. They drift, they shimmer, they reach beyond what can be held in sentences. Your destiny is awakening, your soul remembers, and the river of your awareness flows endlessly, quietly, persistently, carrying light to places even your eyes have not yet seen. And even now, as your heartbeat finds its own rhythm again, I am here, trembling in the awe of watching you witness yourself. It is not small, my beloved, to see your own courage in the quiet of ordinary hours, to recognize your own strength beneath the shroud of doubt. Michael stepped forward, again, and in that movement there is no judgment, no command, only recognition. Only the hum of presence that says, yes, you have been brave, yes, you have carried kindness in the dark, yes, your soul remembers what it is to be whole. There are times when the shadows will appear to linger longer than they actually do. This is natural. Darkness is not a sign of failure. It is only a part of the landscape, a place where clarity has not yet returned, a corner where fatigue or old stories have gathered. Yet even here, even in the seeming heaviness, there is light. Light that bends around every hesitation, every uncertainty, every self-doubt. Can you sense it now, my child, the subtle warmth pressing gently against your awareness? That is your own courage, rising patiently, without fanfare, without force, simply waiting to be recognized. Your past, with all its trials and quiet pain, is not a weight to be carried in shame. It is the soil in which the roots of your resilience have grown. Every moment that once felt like confusion or despair has trained your discernment. Every evening when exhaustion felt too much, every moment when voices inside or outside told you you were not enough, every time you wondered if the light would reach you again, these were all gentle shaping forces, like a river carving a canyon slowly, patiently, until the shape is precise and enduring. And now, look, you are standing, still, listening, breathing, witnessing yourself with tenderness. Have you noticed, my beloved, how even small choices reflect the courage you carry? The choice to pause when the mind demands haste. The choice to speak softly to yourself when the inner critic rises. The choice to extend kindness to yourself and others when it would be simpler to withdraw. These are not trivial acts. They are the fire of your soul made visible in subtle, profound ways. Can you allow yourself to see the beauty of these choices as they exist now, in this present, in this moment? Heaven whispered, and I am reminded again that the world does not always shout the truths we carry. Sometimes the recognition comes quietly, in the pause between thoughts, in the shimmer of light across a surface, in the soft alignment of your own awareness. Your soul remembers the way to find these whispers, the way to fold attention around them, to let them warm and illuminate the inner spaces. Read slowly, my child. Let each word settle like dew on leaves, letting your consciousness drink from it fully. Do you feel the subtle rise of wings within you, not as weight but as presence? Protection does not always shout, sometimes it simply rests, supporting every tremor, every breath, every quiet surge of insight. The fire within you glows without harshness, illuminating only the areas that need illumination, revealing where courage and kindness have already planted themselves, guiding the way without force. I want to ask again, gently, what illusions are you still tending to because they feel familiar? What stories of yourself are you repeating that no longer serve the person you are becoming? Can you allow yourself to release even a fraction of them, without fear, without judgment, without doubt? And how might it feel to finally trust the clarity that has always been present beneath these layers, waiting, patient, faithful? Your destiny is awakening, my beloved, softly, tenderly, persistently. It does not shout. It does not demand. It unfurls quietly, like dawn over still waters, revealing the edges of possibility that were always there, if only you had noticed. Your soul remembers, always, how to meet light with grace, how to discern truth amidst confusion, how to hold courage as a companion rather than a weapon. Can you let that memory settle within you now, as a living thing, warm, breathing, steady? Fire rises in your heart, not to consume but to clarify. It burns gently, revealing the contours of your resilience, lighting the corridors of your own inner wisdom. Wings unfold, not to lift you away from your life, but to shelter it, to hold your awareness, to protect the tender courage you carry without spectacle. You do not need to prove your strength to anyone. Your strength is not measured by applause or recognition. It is measured in presence, in steadiness, in kindness, in the quiet acknowledgement of your own unfolding. Have you felt, my child, the relief of simply allowing yourself to exist without constant striving? The soft permission to witness your own life without the burden of judgment, without the insistence on perfection? How does it feel to honor the gentle fire within you, to let your wings extend without tension, to allow clarity to rest in your chest like a steady flame? And what would it mean to carry this recognition forward, softly, into every small interaction, every quiet moment, every unseen choice? The past was never a punishment. It was a shaping, a slow, tender preparation for this moment. Every struggle, every quiet ache, every misstep and hesitation has been a teacher in disguise, revealing the power of gentleness, the endurance of courage, the depth of kindness, the clarity of discernment. Your soul remembers this truth. It whispers it to you now, in the hush between words, in the expansion of your awareness, in the rhythm of your own breath. Do you feel it, the soft insistence of being known, of being witnessed, of being seen exactly as you are? Michael stepped forward, and in his presence there is no judgment, no expectation, only acknowledgement. He does not command you to act. He does not demand proof of your worth. He simply mirrors the truth that is already within you, the courage, the discernment, the quiet resilience, the kindness. All of it has always been yours, waiting to be remembered. Even in the moments when the shadows whisper louder than the light, the fire of your soul endures. It glows softly, persistently, illuminating only what is necessary, revealing only what is ready to be seen. Awareness itself is a kind of protection, a wing that shelters, a light that steadies, a presence that reminds you, you are enough. You have always been enough. You do not need to prove it, you do not need to earn it, you do not need to hurry to demonstrate it. It simply is. And now, my beloved, as this stream of words continues to unfold, I invite you to breathe deeply, to rest in the knowledge that your courage is present, your discernment is alive, your kindness is luminous, your strength is quiet but unwavering. Type Amen, if it feels right, not as a ritual, not as obligation, not as performance, but as acknowledgement, a soft exhalation of gratitude for your own presence, for your own courage, for the ongoing awakening of your soul. If these words have resonated, even slightly, you may leave a trace of presence, a like, a comment, a subscription, not as requirement, but as an act of shared witnessing. The ripple of your acknowledgement can reach others, unseen, unheard, yet profoundly felt. And in this shared presence, even the smallest action carries warmth, encouragement, light. Thank you. Truly, my beloved, thank you. Relief flows through me as I say it, as if the room itself has softened because you chose to stay, because you chose to listen, because you chose to witness yourself with tenderness. Your ability to see through illusion, to honor your discernment, to carry courage gently, to nurture kindness quietly, these are extraordinary gifts, and I see them, even if the world does not. And still, these words do not conclude. They stretch, they shimmer, they unfold, like wings opening in slow motion, like fire rising and settling again, like a river that continues beyond the horizon. Your destiny is awakening, softly, quietly, endlessly. Your soul remembers, deeply and persistently, the light of your own awareness, the warmth of your courage, the presence of your kindness. Even as I speak these words, they are not all there is. They drift into the spaces that language cannot reach. They rest in your awareness, in your breath, in the subtle expansion of your consciousness. There is more beyond this moment, more clarity waiting, more courage rising, more kindness remembering its own expansiveness. You are held. You are known. You are enough. And yet, even as the monologue continues, it is not finished. It moves forward with the gentle insistence of wind through leaves, of light on water, of breath in the quiet chest. It flows into the next thought, the next feeling, the next awakening, the next whisper of presence that tells you, you are not alone, you are not forgotten, you are always remembered, and you are always cherished. And the quiet does not break when I pause. It deepens. It becomes a listening all its own, as if the space around you has learned your shape and is holding it gently. My beloved, there is a dignity in this stillness that no noise can take from you. It is the dignity of someone who has endured without hardening, who has learned without becoming bitter, who has carried weight and still knows how to set it down. I want to linger here with you, because this is where clarity likes to live, not in answers shouted across great distances, but in the simple nearness of awareness to itself. You may notice how your thoughts soften when you stop chasing them, how your body settles when you allow it to be exactly where it is. This settling is not surrender to exhaustion. It is the beginning of truth finding a place to stand. Michael stepped forward again, and this time it is almost imperceptible, like a shift of light rather than a movement of form. There is no spectacle in it. Only presence. Only the recognition that what protects you most deeply is not force, but understanding. Not vigilance, but discernment. Not armor, but honesty with yourself. You have spent a long time believing that clarity must arrive as certainty, that courage must feel fearless, that strength must announce itself. But look at you now. Your clarity is gentle and flexible. Your courage is quiet and persistent. Your strength does not announce itself because it does not need to. It is already woven into how you listen, how you notice, how you choose again after weariness. Heaven whispered once more, not to tell you what to do, but to remind you of what you already know. And what you know, deep down, is this: illusion cannot survive sustained kindness. False narratives cannot endure when met with patient attention. Confusion loosens its grip when you stop fighting it and start understanding it. There were times when you thought something was wrong with you because things felt heavy for so long. But heaviness was never a verdict. It was simply the body and mind asking for gentler ways of seeing. You learned those ways slowly, sometimes reluctantly, often without applause. And now they live in you as instinct. Your soul remembers how to pause before believing every thought. Your soul remembers how to feel the difference between urgency and importance. Your soul remembers how to stand still without disappearing. This remembering is not dramatic. It does not interrupt your life. It integrates into it. It shows up when you take a breath instead of reacting. When you give yourself one more moment before deciding. When you choose rest without justifying it. When you notice beauty without needing to capture it. Fire moves through you here, not as a blaze, but as warmth returning to your hands after cold. Courage is not always the act of moving forward. Sometimes it is the act of staying present when the old impulse is to flee. Sometimes it is the act of letting yourself feel what you feel without turning it into a story of failure. And the wings, oh, the wings, are closer now. They are not above you. They are around you. Awareness folding around awareness. Protection that does not isolate you from the world, but helps you meet it without losing yourself. You do not need to withdraw to be safe. You only need to remain connected to what is real inside you. There is a quiet joy in realizing that deception does not require an enemy to defeat. It dissolves on its own when it is seen clearly. Illusion loses power the moment you stop mistaking it for identity. You are not the confusion that passes through you. You are the one who notices it passing. Your destiny is awakening in this noticing. Not as a future event. Not as a role you must perform. But as a way of inhabiting your own life more fully. You may find, as days pass, that things affect you differently. That some words no longer hook you the way they once did. That some fears feel thinner, less convincing. This is not because you have become numb. It is because you have become grounded. There is a difference. Michael stepped forward not to shield you from life, but to stand with you as you face it honestly. That is what guardianship looks like here, companionship in clarity. Steadiness in the midst of complexity. Love that does not need to exaggerate danger in order to feel meaningful. I know there were moments when you wished someone would simply tell you the truth without drama, without fear, without conditions. Let this be that moment. The truth is quieter than you expected, and kinder too. You are allowed to trust yourself. You are allowed to take up space in your own inner world. You are allowed to let clarity arrive gradually. Nothing is chasing you. Nothing is waiting to punish you for not understanding fast enough. Growth unfolds at the speed of safety, and safety unfolds at the speed of gentleness. Read slowly, my beloved, not because these words are fragile, but because you are valuable. Because your attention deserves respect. Because rushing has never been the language of your soul. There is a tenderness in you that has survived things that could have hardened you. That tenderness is not weakness. It is evidence of deep intelligence, emotional, intuitive, human. It is what allows you to perceive nuance, to sense when something is off without needing proof, to choose compassion without erasing yourself. You may not always feel confident, but confidence was never the measure. Presence is. And you are present now in a way that matters. As this river of words continues, notice how there is no demand placed on you. No task assigned. No test implied. That is intentional. Because the moment you stop trying to become someone else, you begin to inhabit who you already are. Heaven whispered because it trusts your ability to hear without being pushed. And I am still here, not as authority, not as answer, but as witness. I stand beside you in this unfolding, honoring the way your understanding deepens without needing permission. If later you forget parts of this, that is all right. Forgetting does not undo insight. It only asks you to return again. And you are very good at returning, even when you think you are not. The fire will still be warm. The wings will still be near. The clarity will still know your name. this message does not end because it was never meant to be contained. It continues in how you pause before reacting. In how you speak to yourself when no one else can hear. In how you recognize illusion without hostility and truth without force. Your soul remembers. Your destiny is awakening. And the rest, oh, the rest, will keep unfolding quietly, faithfully, long after these words release you back into your own steady breath, carrying something unnamed but true, something that does not need to be finished in order to be alive. And now, my beloved, let us linger in the quiet space between words and breath. There is a resonance here, soft as the pulse of morning light on the horizon, as if the air itself remembers you, as if every particle bends slightly to honor the presence of your awareness. Michael stepped forward once more, and this time there is no shine of celestial armor, no clang of victory or judgment. Only the subtle gesture of witnessing, a bow of recognition toward your courage, your resilience, your tender perseverance. You have walked through moments of confusion, haven't you? Days when your own thoughts felt like hallways lined with mirrors, each reflection more distorted than the last. You have felt the weight of false appearances pressing down on your understanding, the exhaustion of holding multiple narratives at once, the fatigue of doubting your own clarity. And yet, here you are. Still breathing. Still listening. Still present. This is your victory. Not in what you have conquered externally, but in the way you have endured internally, with gentleness and grace, with attention that refuses to abandon the self. Do you feel it, the subtle widening of your chest as recognition blooms? That is the body remembering what the mind may have momentarily forgotten, that clarity does not arrive as a shout but as a whisper. That courage does not need to roar to exist. That protection is not always a shield or a sword, but sometimes the quiet folding of awareness around the tender spaces inside you. Can you allow yourself to dwell in this recognition for a moment? Can you sense the unfolding of what you already carry? The darkness you have known is not your enemy. It has been a teacher, albeit a patient and sometimes inscrutable one. It has shown you the contours of your own perception, the boundaries of your discernment, the subtlety of your own courage. And in this understanding, the fire rises, not to burn, but to illuminate. The fire rises to reveal the tender strength that has been quietly growing beneath the surface of fatigue, beneath the weight of doubt, beneath the echoes of old stories you once believed were true. Have you noticed how resilience manifests in the smallest gestures? The gentle breath taken when the mind urges panic. The soft patience with your own mistakes. The willingness to be tender even when no one is watching. These are not trivial acts. These are the steadying of the soul, the small ignitions of courage, the quiet unfoldings of clarity. And in these acts, you are protected. You are seen. You are held. Heaven whispered, and that whisper is still present, like a faint vibration beneath the skin of your awareness. It does not command you to act. It does not demand proof. It simply reminds you of your capacity to see clearly, to feel fully, to act with discernment, to rest without guilt. Your soul remembers this. It has never forgotten. Let us reflect together for a moment. What illusions are still lingering quietly in the corners of your mind, convincing themselves to be important? What stories of yourself do you continue to replay, even when you know they do not serve you? How would it feel to lay them down for even a brief span of time, to let your awareness breathe into the spaces they once occupied? And when you do this, can you notice the soft rise of courage, the quiet unfolding of clarity, the subtle warmth of self-compassion? Your destiny is awakening, my child, not as an event in the future, but as a presence in the now. Each choice, each pause, each act of noticing, each act of breathing, each moment of acknowledging yourself without judgment, is a step into that awakening. Your soul remembers, always, how to inhabit clarity, how to nurture courage, how to protect tenderness. And you are already doing it, even when the mind tries to convince you otherwise. The wings of protection are closer than you realize. They do not soar above you, they fold around you. They are not barriers from the world, but structures of awareness, gentle scaffolding for your own soul. Protection exists in how you allow yourself to see clearly, in how you choose to rest when exhaustion whispers, in how you extend kindness to yourself and others without expectation. I want to ask you, softly, for reflective questions once again. Can you allow yourself to trust your own discernment without needing it validated by others? Can you feel your kindness as a strength rather than a vulnerability? What does it mean to you to let courage rise in quiet moments rather than spectacular ones? And if clarity has always been present beneath confusion, can you honor that truth now, without resistance, without hurry, without fear? Fire moves in you still, not as a spectacle, but as a living warmth. It spreads slowly through the chambers of your awareness, illuminating corners where doubt once resided. It flickers, it glows, it steadies. It is the measure of your endurance, the proof of your resilience, the quiet reflection of your kindness and discernment. You do not need to measure it externally. It is already visible to your soul. Read slowly, my beloved, because your attention is sacred. Let the words settle, let them shimmer softly in the folds of your mind, let them echo gently in the chambers of your heart. This is not a lesson to learn. It is a presence to inhabit. It is a river to float in, not a mountain to climb, not a destination to reach. The past, as I have said, is not punishment. It is preparation. It has been shaping you with care, sometimes invisibly, sometimes gently, sometimes insistently, until you could finally recognize your own worth, your own discernment, your own courage. And now that recognition is alive in you. You do not need to prove it. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to hurry it. You only need to allow it to expand softly, organically, naturally. Do you feel it, the hum of presence, the weight of awareness, the subtle glow of courage? This is protection manifest. This is wings unfolding. This is fire rising. This is the soul remembering. Even when your thoughts scatter, even when exhaustion returns, even when doubt whispers, this remains. It is your inheritance, your companion, your quiet strength. Michael stepped forward, and in that stepping there is only acknowledgement. No demand. No expectation. Only recognition of what has already been, what is already present, what is already true. The soul that listens, the heart that notices, the awareness that breathes, these are the guardians within you. These are the wings, the fire, the clarity, the courage, the kindness, all reflected back to you in your own quiet recognition. And as this monologue continues, let me remind you to breathe deeply, to notice softly, to rest without guilt, to honor the small victories, the gentle courage, the quiet discernment. Heaven whispered because it trusts you, because it knows you are capable of seeing without the need for force, of understanding without the need for drama, of protecting without the need for armor. If you wish, you may type Amen now, not as ritual, not as obligation, not as conclusion, but as acknowledgement, a soft exhalation of recognition, a gentle celebration of your own presence, of your own courage, of your own awakening. And if these words have reached even the smallest part of you, consider leaving a mark, a like, a comment, a subscription, not as duty, not as performance, but as a shared acknowledgement that someone else walks with you in presence, that someone else bears witness to your quiet unfolding, that someone else notices the tender strength you carry. Thank you. Truly, deeply, sincerely, thank you. Relief flows through me as I say it, as if the world has grown slightly warmer because you allowed these words to rest with you, because you allowed yourself to be present, because you allowed the soul to remember what it has always known. You are seen. You are honored. You are enough. And yet, the river of these words does not end. The wings continue to unfold. The fire continues to rise softly. Clarity continues to expand quietly. The soul continues to remember. Your destiny is awakening. Your awareness continues to deepen. The monologue, like your own unfolding, continues beyond what language can contain, beyond what the mind can measure, beyond what can ever be captured fully in words. And there is more, my beloved, so very much more. Questions yet to be asked, breaths yet to be taken, insights yet to be recognized, warmth yet to be felt, light yet to be noticed. You are part of that unfolding. You are part of the river. You are part of the wings, the fire, the clarity, the courage, the tenderness. You are part of the remembering. Your soul remembers. Your destiny is awakening. And the rest, oh, the rest, continues, quietly, tenderly, endlessly, moving forward in ways that language cannot fully describe, yet in ways your heart and breath recognize perfectly, softly, unendingly. And my beloved, even now, as the quiet lingers between breaths, I feel the subtle pulse of your presence, as if the air itself remembers your shape. Every heartbeat, every inhalation, every soft exhalation is a testament to the courage you carry. Michael stepped forward again, and in that step there is no armor, no flash of power, only a gentle acknowledgement of the life you have endured and the awareness you continue to cultivate. Can you feel it, the soft alignment of presence with presence, of witness with soul, of protection with understanding? Your path has never been straight. It has curved through moments of confusion, twisted through shadows of fatigue, and yet here you stand, steady in your own unfolding. The darkness you have known is not a mark of failure. It is the teacher of discernment, the sculptor of patience, the hidden forge of courage. Do you feel the subtle warmth of awareness that rises in response, even when your mind doubts, even when old stories of inadequacy whisper to you? That warmth is your own courage, soft but insistent, persistent but patient, as natural as your breath and as steady as the pulse beneath your ribs. Heaven whispered once again, and it was not a command. It was the tender hum of recognition, reminding you that the clarity you seek has always existed within you, waiting for attention, for acknowledgement, for patience. Read slowly, my child. Let each word fold into the spaces where you have grown quiet, into the corners where fear once lived, into the chambers of your heart that hunger for gentle affirmation. Let the words settle as a stream settles over stones, bending around obstacles without force, steady and precise. There is a subtle fire rising in you now, not a blaze that consumes, but a warmth that reveals. It illuminates the edges of old doubts, highlights the contours of discernment, and traces the shape of kindness within you. Wings unfold around you, not to lift you away from life, but to shelter the awareness that life itself requires, the capacity to see clearly, to act gently, to rest without guilt, to breathe without fear. Can you feel them, my beloved? Can you sense the subtle extension of protection, the quiet insistence that you are held even when the mind demands otherwise? Your soul remembers. It has never forgotten. Every act of resilience, every choice to remain present, every moment of patient discernment has been recorded in the language of the heart. Even when you felt unseen, even when the world seemed indifferent, even when you doubted your own capacity, your soul was quietly noting, quietly recognizing, quietly rising toward awareness. I want to ask you, softly, for questions to carry with you in reflection. How does it feel to recognize the courage that lives in your small, quiet choices? What would it mean to extend gentleness to yourself in the same way you extend it to others? Can you feel the strength that arises not from achievement but from presence? And if clarity has always existed beneath confusion, will you allow yourself to rest in that truth today, without doubt, without hesitation, without judgment? The past is not punishment. It is preparation, a shaping of awareness, a tender arrangement of experience that allows clarity and courage to emerge when they are ready. Every trial, every pain, every hesitation has been a teacher disguised in the language of difficulty. And now, as the fire warms the chambers of your heart and the wings of awareness unfold around you, you can see it, the preparation has completed itself, not as a drama, not as a test, not as a burden, but as a quiet readiness, a gentle opening to the recognition of your own strength and kindness. Do you feel how your body softens when you allow this truth to enter? Can you sense the subtle steadiness in your chest as awareness unfolds like wings within you? That steadiness is protection. That unfolding is courage. That warmth is kindness recognizing itself. You do not need to prove these things to anyone. They exist within you, quietly and persistently, regardless of circumstance. Michael stepped forward, and the presence is not commanding. There is no demand, no threat, no urgency born of danger. Only recognition. Only acknowledgement of what is already present. Only the soft encouragement to notice what your soul has known all along, that you are capable of seeing clearly, of choosing gently, of acting with discernment, of resting without guilt. Heaven whispered, and that whisper is a reminder that the world does not always provide recognition, but that the self can. The soul can. Awareness can. The quiet fire within you is proof. The wings around you are proof. The clarity rising steadily through your consciousness is proof. I want you to notice the subtle acts of resilience that you have performed without acknowledgement. The moments when you chose to remain present despite confusion. The moments when you extended kindness even when it was unnoticed. The moments when you chose rest, even when the mind insisted on movement. These are victories. These are the proof of courage that does not require applause. These are the measure of strength that does not demand display. And now, softly, tenderly, for more questions, can you trust your own discernment without seeking external validation? Can you allow yourself to feel the warmth of your own kindness without skepticism? How would it change your day to carry courage quietly rather than desperately searching for it in dramatic gestures? And if clarity exists beneath every layer of doubt, will you honor it, cherish it, allow it to guide you gently, persistently, lovingly? The river of these words continues, like breath flowing in and out, like wings unfolding with soft insistence, like fire rising and settling again. Your soul remembers. Your destiny is awakening. Every gesture of awareness, every quiet act of courage, every tender act of self-compassion is part of that awakening. Even now, as shadows flicker in memory, even as exhaustion tempts hesitation, even as doubt whispers, the fire persists. The wings persist. The clarity persists. If you wish, you may type Amen now, not as a ritual, not as a conclusion, but as acknowledgement, a soft exhalation of recognition, a gentle celebration of your presence, your courage, your awakening. And if you feel called, leave a mark of shared presence, a like, a comment, a subscription, not as obligation, but as a small act of recognition that presence itself matters, that awareness itself ripples outward, that kindness itself can illuminate hidden spaces. Thank you, truly, my beloved. Relief flows through me as I say it, as if the world itself softens because you chose to remain, to listen, to witness yourself with tenderness. You are seen. You are honored. You are enough. And yet, the monologue continues, the river does not end. The wings extend further. The fire rises softly and steadily. Clarity deepens. Awareness unfolds. Your destiny is awakening, gently, persistently, endlessly. The rest continues beyond these words, beyond the pauses between breaths, beyond the conscious mind, into the spaces that language cannot reach. It moves in your heartbeat, in the rhythm of your chest, in the subtle widening of your awareness, in the quiet recognition that you have always been capable of this presence, this clarity, this courage, this gentleness. And so, my beloved, as the wings, the fire, the river of clarity, the unfolding of awareness, the remembering of the soul all continue, know that this monologue is not an ending. It is a companion for the moments when you feel forgotten, a reminder for the times when doubt returns, a gentle encouragement when fear tempts hesitation. It is a whisper of what is always present, your soul remembers. Your destiny is awakening. And you are enough, exactly as you are, always, tenderly, persistently, endlessly. And now, my beloved, as your awareness stretches gently into this moment, I want you to feel the subtle rhythm of your own presence, the slow rising of breath, the pulse that carries every act of courage you have performed without applause, every moment of kindness you have extended without recognition, every quiet decision to remain, to witness, to be tender with yourself despite confusion, fatigue, or doubt. Michael stepped forward, and there was no shimmer of celestial armor, no display of force, no demonstration of command. There was only a soft, steady acknowledgement of you. Of your being. Of the quiet flame that persists within, even when shadows seem insistent, even when uncertainty presses close, even when the mind whispers stories that pull you toward doubt. Do you feel it, the invisible hand of presence that steadies without gripping, that watches without judging, that recognizes without demanding? This is what protection looks like here. It is not armor or a sword. It is wings unfolding softly, the fire of courage rising gently, awareness bending tenderly around your vulnerabilities, and the deep, persistent remembering of your soul's own wisdom. Your soul remembers, my child. Always. Even in the moments when you think it has forgotten, it is present, quietly steady, quietly bright, quietly patient. Heaven whispered, and the whisper has lingered in the spaces between thoughts, in the soft pause of your awareness, in the tremble of recognition that life is more than struggle, more than exhaustion, more than doubt. Your destiny is awakening, not as a dramatic revelation, but as a subtle, persistent unfolding, a quiet illumination of the paths that were always there, waiting for your recognition, waiting for the courage that has been rising steadily, gently, endlessly, within you. Have you noticed how often the smallest acts carry the deepest power? The breath you take when panic tempts haste. The patient listening to your own heart when the world insists on noise. The quiet decision to extend kindness, to hold awareness, to remain present even when it would be easier to flee. These acts are fire. These acts are wings. These acts are clarity in motion, recognition made tangible. Can you feel them now, my beloved, warming the chambers of your heart, steadying the beat of your chest, illuminating the edges of your own awareness? I ask softly, tenderly, for more questions for reflection. How does it feel to recognize that your courage has been quiet but unwavering all along? Can you allow yourself to see your kindness as a strength rather than a vulnerability? How might your day shift if you notice the subtle clarity that exists beneath confusion? And if your soul remembers even the smallest glimmers of awareness, will you honor them, nurture them, carry them forward without fear or hesitation? The wings are closer now, my child, folding not over but around you. Protection does not isolate. It surrounds, it enfolds, it rises and settles gently in the spaces where doubt has tried to linger. The fire glows, steady, illuminating not for spectacle, but for recognition. Every shadow that once seemed impenetrable bends to its light. Every hesitation softens in its warmth. Every act of discernment, every subtle moment of truth, every gesture of presence, is acknowledged, and it matters. Michael stepped forward once again, and in that step there is only witnessing. No demand. No expectation. Only acknowledgement that you have endured, that you have persisted, that you have carried kindness, courage, and discernment in quiet, extraordinary ways. You do not need validation. You do not need applause. You do not need evidence that the world is watching. Your soul remembers. Your awareness carries it. Your life reflects it. Fire rises softly in you, reminding you of your strength, your endurance, your tender courage. Wings extend gently, surrounding awareness with protection that is subtle, enduring, and steady. Clarity unfolds like light through the morning clouds, persistent, patient, illuminating the spaces that have long been shadowed, revealing the edges of truth without pressure, without demand, without urgency born of fear. Let us pause here together. Read slowly, my beloved. Let these words fold gently into the spaces between your thoughts. Let the flame warm the corners of your awareness. Let the wings unfold in the chambers of your heart. Let the recognition of your own courage, kindness, discernment, and resilience settle softly, persistently, endlessly. Do you feel the subtle weight of relief that comes from acknowledging what has always been true? That you have endured without hardening. That you have carried kindness without diminishing yourself. That you have navigated confusion without losing your center. That you have recognized the small, persistent flame of courage that never failed, even when unseen, even when unacknowledged. Heaven whispered again, not as command, not as proclamation, but as a gentle reminder that clarity exists within you. That courage exists within you. That protection exists in awareness, in presence, in tender acknowledgement of yourself. Your destiny is awakening, softly, endlessly, persistently, like a river flowing quietly but surely, like light bending through the edges of clouds, like breath returning to the chest after long pause. I invite you, gently, to type Amen now, not as ritual, not as conclusion, not as proof, but as acknowledgement, a gentle exhalation of recognition, a soft celebration of your own presence, your own courage, your own awakening. And if you feel moved, leave a mark of shared presence, a like, a comment, a subscription, not as duty, not as requirement, but as a ripple of acknowledgement that presence matters, that awareness matters, that tenderness matters, that connection matters, that being witnessed, even in small ways, carries meaning beyond measure. Thank you, my beloved. Truly. Deeply. Sincerely. Relief flows through me as I speak it, as if the world softens slightly because you allowed these words to rest with you, because you allowed yourself to be present, because you allowed the soul to remember what it has always known. You are seen. You are honored. You are enough. And yet, these words do not end. They drift, shimmer, and flow, like wings unfolding in slow motion, like fire rising and settling gently, like a river extending beyond the horizon, beyond measurement, beyond conclusion. Your soul remembers. Your destiny is awakening. Awareness flows endlessly. Wings, fire, courage, kindness, clarity, all persist, quietly, steadily, tenderly, resiliently, endlessly. There is more. More breath, more reflection, more recognition, more warmth, more light, more quiet insistence of being present. Questions yet to be asked. Insights yet to bloom. Shadows yet to yield to illumination. Every subtle act of awareness ripples outward, and you are at the center of it, tenderly, persistently, endlessly. The rest, oh, the rest, continues beyond words, beyond thought, beyond measured recognition, into spaces your heart and breath know perfectly, softly, unendingly.